So, do you understand the concept of free will in the Bible? And the concept says you have a choice. And this is the test of free will. Will you or will you not do the evil? That's how simple the test is in God, in the Bible. He doesn't care about any of the distinguishing circumstances. Let's go to the Doolittle Raiders. You know, they flew the bombers off the aircraft carrier to bomb Tokyo, just to show them that we could, to put fear in the people of Japan. Now, what happened? There's Tokyo Rose, and the ones that went on and confessed on Tokyo Rose. But now let's go into the ones that didn't. Or one of them, they operated on him at the Japan Medical School in Tokyo with no anesthesia. They cut him open, they dissected him, and that's how they killed him. It was operating on a live specimen without anesthesia. But it wasn't to cure him, it was just a dissection. And so they cut him open and pulled out things, and he died, screaming and yelling, as all the medical students sat there and watched. These are doctors honoring to do the Hippocratic Oath, right? This is why we have the Hippocratic Oath in the medical field. So we don't get people say Dr. Kevorkian. The Hippocratic Oath is supposed to be something that says, I will not do evil, even if the country is going to kill me. I will not submit to evil under any circumstances. It is free will. What does Stalin, Mao, Hitler, any of them? What's Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, John Wayne Gacy, take a few, or Castro, Ariel Castro, or any of them, willing to do the evil. So the test is simple for God. Did you or didn't you? And he already knows right and wrong. So he doesn't care about your excuses. That's the point of Jesus. And the point I showed with the disciples. And what they weren't willing to do. And these punishments. So again, it comes down to simple. Are you willing or aren't you willing to do the evil? That is all it is. That's why the essence of free will in the Bible. It's the simplest of tests. And what was the simplest of tests? With me, I gave you the warning that I was supposed to do no harm to me. It's a simple test. Will you or won't you do the right thing by me? That's it. It's a very simple test. And so, all those who have done and going to do, I'm warning you, you're going to put yourself in eternal damnation. It's a simple, easy test for him. Willing or not willing. That's it. It's any terrorist group, any mafia. I watch these people join gangs. I never joined a gang. I didn't join the Italian mafia. I had connections in the Russian mafia, Italian mafia, all these different gangs. Truly, all these different things. And it's will you or won't you do the evil? It comes down to a simple thing. It's the simplest of tests. You don't know how perfect the test is. It is so pure. It is so perfect. It is so easy. It's simple. It's so black and white. And that's why there's no ambiguity. And it says God does justice and righteousness, will not shed a tear. It is very simple for him. You say it's complex. Truly, do you or do you not do homosexual activity? It's a simple test. Are you willing to violate somebody or not violate them? Truly, it's been offered and I deny. It's a simple test. Willing or not willing to desecrate the flesh. So, it's not complicated. You're making too much out of it. It's very simple. God put the simplest of tests for you. Willing or not. I'm starving. Really? There's a lot of people starving in the world. Raymond Lee, he wrote a book. He has an import-export. He was in China. He was in the Great Famine. He didn't do evil. So Miss Park gathered some twigs and everything. But again, did she kill anyone or do anything? She was the one who was taken in by the Chinese broker, the human trafficker. He conned her and her mother. You're going to the promised land. It's that simple. So, again, you make it out to be something complicated. It's not complicated, right and wrong. It's very simple. Lone survivor. True story. What did they do in the village? They stood up against a terrorist organization. It's a simple premise. What was it? We have a responsibility when we take somebody in to protect them. Meaning, protect them from evil. That was it. A simple thing. Protect them from injustice. And if we all die protecting them, so be it. Isn't that what happened in the Philippines? They don't do a movie about it, but World War II. And people don't understand. The Japanese took in a U.S. soldier and hit him. And whole villages would die for one soldier. One U.S. soldier. A whole village of Filipinos would be slaughtered by the Japanese. The chief and everybody else wouldn't. It was that simple. Would you or wouldn't you? Man, woman, child, young, old, they all got slaughtered. They all got killed, protecting one single soldier. They didn't say, isn't this insane, that many lives? It was about right and wrong. And taking on the responsibility, and even if that responsibility ends you. So again, it is a very simple test. Just like the tailgaters. They get a choice. Will they or won't they? They make the choice. And every day they choose to tailgate me and violate me. So they get condemned. It's that simple. It is not complicated. It is going through life and doing the right thing. Do you think did Jesus get up there and he's like, you know what? I'm going to sell out the disciples. And I'm going to go away and, do this. So all those, I'm going to tell the Roman emperor and tell the Pharisees that it was all the disciples' fault. He could have made that choice, couldn't he have? They found no guilt in him, as the emperor said. There is no, but what did the Pharisees do? Riled the crowd up against him. So they could find no guilt in him, no wrong in what he did. Whether right or wrong, and this is why the Bible calls you a fool. So whether I go for immigrants or against immigrants, as long as I'm telling the truth of the situation and lay out the facts and let the facts be where they are. I don't manipulate them or lie about them. And they are what they are. And sometimes they're in your favor and sometimes they're against you. as I have to eat crow when I make mistakes and I post them. I don't cover them up. So again, it's that simple. There's nothing about it that's difficult. Will you or won't you do wrong? That's all it comes down to. So in a court, that's all we're supposed to do. The first thing is, will we or won't, will they, did they or didn't they do wrong? That's all the trial is supposed to get to. The extinguishing circumstances in the judgment is whether it was justifiable homicide or not. But as the cases go, like the woman who set her husband on fire for domestic violence, she already said, I did it, and cop, so it was about whether it was justified or not. The guilt was already, she admitted and confessed to guilt. Now it moves to whether it was justifiable or not. And the court ruled justifiable homicide. This is why I give ways out. You have the suicide hotline. You got 911. And when 911 doesn't do their job, and you call up, oh, I'm getting beat on, or the car's threatening me, then what happens? You become guilty. Willful neglect. The transfer is on you. Once the phone call is made, and you decide not to respond, as the last 10 years, they've been hanging up on me 911 constantly. And they're like, you have to take it. If you can't be in the kitchen, you're like, how about a soldier out there? And he's like, the enemy swore at me. I'm going home. But I got to sit here and they're bombing and shooting and everything else. And he used a curse word. He called you a racial slur. Don't they show that in Private Ryan when he calls him Juden, meaning Jew? But the whole point is, so you're going to pack up and go home? So is that what we're here in a battle, and you're like there with the terrorists, and they're like, we called you a cracker. Ah, you win. What do you want to know? I'm not a cracker. It's so hard. That's so harsh. I'm not a cracker. So is that what it comes down to? Is that the people we make in our society? Because the law set precedents. And it teaches people to handle situations. I had to work and people called me all kinds of racist slurs, every negative name. So what? And if I can't take it, then I shouldn't be in the job. Because that's what happens when you're in client service. People get pissed. And I've been in hotels and everything else. And people people cry. And I'm like, you shouldn't be in this position. You're too sensitive. I had customers treat me like total shit. Okay. I didn't taint their food or do anything. I just continued on doing my job the best I can. I'm in a public-facing position. Just as I saw in the bleachers. I had respect for the outfielders in baseball. Do you know, go ask any bleacher bum what they used to say to the outfielders of the opposing team. Like, I slept with your wife last night. You're a whore. Your wife's a whore. You're a... I mean, I couldn't... Not that I said any of those words, but they were out there and they just kept their back. And they were playing psychological warfare on the outfielders. So ask any of those old players who used to play, and we're talking outfielders, and they have the backs to the fan, and the fans are saying all kinds of negative. And remember, most of all those players before were white. And they said every derogatory term in the book to them. I mean, I couldn't believe half the shit they said. I mean, they got highly personal. Unbelievably personal. And did the outfielder turn around and flick them off or say, nope, not at all. So this is why the Chicago Bulls got rid of Ron Artest. Because fans say things, and all of a sudden, this is why Ditka took a bash. Not that I agree with it. And what did Major League Baseball not do? They didn't set up a protocol. If they would have told them what was acceptable and what wasn't acceptable, we call it common sense. There's the written law, and then there's the unspoken law. The unspoken law is the common sense. And that's really what we call etiquette. And that's what makes society go. So we're a society based on certain etiquette, the unspoken law. And when you bring people in that don't follow the etiquette, society breaks down. And you say, okay, racism's in the same, but there was a well-spoken etiquette, and you want to override it. That's not how you override it. So again, that's not how you override it. So I disagreed with Rosa Parks and them. That's not how you override it. And so there's ways to do it and ways not to do it. So again, these people don't do it the right way. So when you're looking at it, precedents, and I know hindsight's 20/20, but I lived it. So again, I lived it, like the Black Porters. I busted my ass. And you know, the Porters, Kenny Rosenbach managed the Porters. Kenny's a Jew. Kenny and me were best friends. But he did exploit my goodness. And what did he do? He wanted, and I understand, because his friends from Division and that, these kids that, you know, working on Division, they don't make a lot of money and so on. And so they come over to the bar and they would drink up big tags, but they were exploiting Kenny's good generosity. And Kenny had a big heart for them. So I didn't want to punish Kenny. So I would sign for tabs that were hundreds of dollars. And because I hustled so much, they overlooked it. That they never questioned me on comping these big tabs. But the whole point is why I got fired from Baja, because they were stealing. And it was coming up on my bonus related to the liquor costs and that. And I would be asking some questions. And they had to get rid of me. Rico was stealing. Mark Weisberg was stealing. And it was coming up on the pour cost. And basically, couldn't hide their stuff. So the only alternative they had to cover up is to fire me. And that's what they did. I found out with Jan and other accountants doing it on the back end too. So it's not me. Jan used to do the books. So again, all the hustle and everything else, they would have kept me, but when it comes down to it, their card was called and it came down to me or them. And so what did they choose? Them. What does everybody chose? All the evil in that, you cover up your shit and you choose yourself and you choose your evil acts. It's that simple. And so the funny thing is, I get black people here, they didn't know at Baja. I was told by management to discriminate. And I said, I can't discriminate. Everybody must be based on a fair thing. So I went over 2 Hispanic cops, a black cop, and a white cop. And I came up with a dress code, and I put it in writing. And everybody coming through the door had to meet the dress code. The dress code was going after our target audience. Any club, see, people get random dress codes. No, I based the dress code on their target audience. The people that we wanted and the people we didn't want. And it was how they were dressed. So if you came in and I was told, hey, that, I'm like, no, it's here in writing. That guy gets in. So you think I used it to discriminate? I didn't use it. I let black people in. I was told, no, they fit the dress code. And so, again, the dress code was tailed. Our numbers went through the roof when I put it in. Because what did I do? I weed out the crowd I don't want. And the only people that were inside, and the violence went down. Because all the people inside were the right mix. So I used and tailed the dress code to get the perfect mix of crowd inside. No violence, lots of good times. And that's what you're supposed to use. So it was easy to weed out the gangbangers and everything else. You don't meet the dress code. Why did I have Bill Murray take off his hat and he couldn't put it back on? There's no ball caps allowed. Bill Murray, he was with Ahmad Rashad, and Ahmad was dressed better. Bill had to take off the cap, and what's the name from ESPN? They were right there. They didn't complain. Bill took it off, and you can go up to the bathroom and comb your hair. He never put back on his baseball cap. So they didn't question. They understood. They complied. They're like, don't you know who we are? Here are 3 big, huge celebrities. 3 big. Chris Berman and all of them were huge. Ahmad Rashad, his wife did the Huskables. She was used. And so on. But here you go. Here's the code. Okay. We comply. So when I look at all these other people, I think about, what the fuck have you ever done for this country or ever done in your life, and then you're going to break the law? So I don't get it. And Bill Murray, he grew up in poverty. He has, I think 8 brothers or 7 brothers and sisters. I don't know how many boys or girls, but he grew up in poverty. And one thing, he's very tight with his money. And so he would, golf balls and that. Bill Murray golfs. And he used to collect golf balls. And he find them and people leave them behind. And it's fair on a course. You see people, lose a ball and you see it, you find it, you put it in your bag. So Bill Murray would just take the balls as he found them on the course and that. And why? Because he grew up in poverty. Has shitloads of money, millions upon millions of dollars. But to him, every dollar is meaningful. And so he grew up where you don't waste shit. See, you understand people who grew up in the Depression and everything. And they understand you don't throw money away. Money is precious. You treat it, even no matter how much money they had, it's still precious. Stewardship. So you grow up like me in immense poverty, and somebody charges me $5 more for cutting my nails. It's fucking infuriating. I'm looking at it, $25 for a manicure. And then if I tip on that, it would be $30. $1, it's 2 on every 10 and 1 on a 5. That's $5. If I tip her, that's $30. $30 for a manicure. How much training do you go through for a manicure? How much physical effort do you put in to do the manicure? Truly. And so, and I look at the bums on the street, and this cop does nothing about it. And I'm like, hold it, did you wrongfully imprison me? Did you wrongfully give me this? Did you wrongfully do that? And then I watch them, and I'm like, holy fuck. And you're not going to do anything about it? And then you're going to harass me? Unbelievable. Like the cop behind me. Why are you tailgating me? Why are you behind me? See, it's called stalking. Even a police officer can get charged with stalking. And you don't, orders in court. We had orders of protection against the police that they couldn't come near. And not just one. You can be in, they have to prove a court issues an order of protection. Not even the cops can come near you. They have to go through an additional hoop proving they're worthy. See, the order of protection proves you can't do anything wrong. But we had it at Baja. The head shops had it in Tucson. Go in Tucson and ask the head shops. Police can't come within a certain distance of the head shops. They couldn't come in a certain distance of Baja. They had to prove that there was something illegal going on. So I grew up in Tucson, and I watched the head shops and know the laws. How do they operate and do this? Well, they considered this legal to sell it. And so the bongs and everything else, and the police couldn't go near the head shops. There was a buffer zone. Why? Because they don't want them to target their clients. They don't want them to target. That's why we got it at Dirtbags, so they wouldn't target our clients. So we had a restraining order. That's what the head shops got, restraining orders. So again, they couldn't unrightfully, and it was unrightfully, target their clients. But I come around here sleeping on the bench, loitering, trespassing, vagrancy. And it's maddening to me. So I don't get it. Oh yes, with the casino, yes, there are many other casinos that can take over for Bally's. Hollywood Casino, Rivers Casino, many other casinos. It's like here, you can see you're coming up on me. There's 3 lanes. There's no one in them. But you choose to be behind me. You choose to annoy me. You choose to terrorize me. You know how bright your lights are. You're not stupid. You can see when you turn on your lights and there's a wall in front of you and how bright they are. You're not ignorant to how bright or intense your lights are. I know mine. I see them when I turn on the lights and reflecting right in front of me. I'm not ignorant. But they play a game like, I'm ignorant, I don't understand. No, you're a lying piece of fucking filth. And that's what you are. And so, I don't go your way. I don't justify your actions. I believe every criminal needs to be punished. I am not talking about games of injustice. I'm talking about when you are doing everything just and right, you shouldn't be punished. It's about righteousness and justice. But anyone breaking the law, I don't believe anyone should escape, and they should be punished. I don't care how little the crime is. We have littering. You throw out trash, you get a ticket if you miss the trash can. It is that simple. So I don't believe in turning blind eyes. You do, and you keep on trying to want to make excuses for your filth. Like these people, they want to make excuses for all their filth, for their riots, for their burning down. They took the housing vouchers. They moved up from the south here. Did anyone stop them from moving? The great migration of all those blacks. Hold it. But you're saying that they were enslaved and they couldn't. Really? They came up to the north. They went to California. They went all over the United States. They had choices. And so I don't get it. They wouldn't be here in Chicago. They weren't originally here. I don't care if you say DeSable and the Trading Post. I believe that's all fucking bullshit. I've watched this with communist countries, them lying about shit. So I disagree. All you're doing is trying to justify your evil. That's why you do it, to cover up your filth and disgrace and disgust. So they took it. I work with all these bartenders. I live with Derek and Eric and everything else. We didn't make much money. At times we had 4 people in our house. At times we had 6 people in our other. There was no one taking food stamps. You got second jobs. You worked triples. Hold it. Did anyone take a housing voucher? No. Did they work second and third jobs? Yes. Like Pete. He had his Uber, his Lyft, his Airbnb. He had his trading. He did the luggage delivery. He had 5 jobs to make ends meet. None of them. So you say I haven't lived it. I lived with all these people that qualified for Medicaid and welfare, and it wasn't because they were ignorant. They had pride. Ricky's Hispanic. He went and became a commercial salesman for Dell Computers in Texas. He was a good friend of mine. He worked at Dave & Buster's. He also took a second job and other things to make ends meet. And then he moved back to Texas, where he was from. He's Hispanic. And he started working for Dell Computers and in the commercial computer side. But he didn't take Medicaid. He didn't take welfare. He didn't take a housing voucher. He lived in a small room. Truly, small room on the first floor, off the kitchen. So I live with a Hispanic guy. Eric is half Hispanic. So I've had Hispanic roommates. So I don't get it. I had Jeff King, was originally my best friend at the University of Arizona. I loaned him tons of money that I worked for and gave him, and then I used to let him use my scooter all the time. and helped him out. Then I used to live with him and train him, and he made the football team as a walk-on. But also, he was doing steroids. And now you have steroids and you have roid rage. And what did he get kicked out of the university? Now, he was the most tame, but all those were using roids. Performance-enhancing drugs were huge among all athletes. And the majority of those football players were black. And the majority of all of them were using steroids. So you say they weren't. I know for a fact